What's up, guys? Earl at Sumo Bully Kennels. Welcome to the classroom series. We are beginning again. So we're relaunching the classroom series, and we're going to kick off the series with episode 1. So for you guys who are new to the channel, welcome. Consider liking and subscribing. We appreciate your support. And for everybody who's been with us and supporting our journey, thank you so much. We're truly grateful. And in honor of that, we are giving back by restarting our classroom series, right? So here we go. If you're on here, you're probably considering getting started on dog breeding, which is a very amazing and very rewarding industry, and also very lucrative, right? To be honest with you, it is very lucrative. The pet industry is humongous in terms of dogs, dog merchandise, dog food, things like that. In our realm specifically of breeding and producing amazing dogs, it is very lucrative, and there can be a lot of financial gain for you to get if you are diligent and you plan correctly and you make the right moves. And even at that, guys, there's still a lot of pitfalls and mistakes that we all can make, that I've made myself. And so part of this series is sharing those wins and losses so that we can all learn from it, and that we can all, hopefully I inspire you to achieve your dream. Hopefully you get inspired by this and get started, or maybe you're already in it and you want to do better, right? So there's a couple of things that we could do with a series to kind of help everybody out. So I've really been wanting to do this, and I am relaunching the series. So anyhow, let me start with this. If this is something you want to do, 100%, I'm always going to say there's no guarantees in life. You only get one chance at this. So why not do something that you love, that you're passionate about, that means a lot to you? And for me, that's dogs. For me, that's dog breeding. And if you're watching this, it's the same why for you, right? You love dogs. Dogs are more than just a pet to us. After a long, stressful day, they bring us comfort. They're almost our therapists without talking, right? Just being with them helps us release our stress and our anxiety and make us happy and laugh even. So I would say this, right? If you're just starting off, or even if you're pretty new, consider it's kind of cheesy, right? But like a mentorship, or at least guidance from somebody who has a little bit more experience than you. And when I say those things, it's really a double-edged sword, right? So one part of it is you're going to meet a lot of great people in this industry that'll give you what they call free game and really help you to achieve that next step. Now, when you flip that coin, you're also going to get people who are going to try to big brother you, right? Or gatekeep. So they want you to do good, but as long as you're not doing as well as them or surpassing them, then it's okay. So you kind of, the part that you have to do is read between the lines and understanding the people that you're dealing with. And that leads me to the next thing: being careful with your associations, who you do business with, who you're affiliated with, that can help you or that can hurt you. So understanding how to navigate in this industry, you just have to be careful, right? The old saying of birds of a feather flock together is very true. If you don't drink, you're probably not going to spend time at a bar. So let's keep that in mind, and understanding some of the people that we deal with in this industry. And not everyone does good, clean business on the up and up. Recognizing who does clean work, who is transparent. That's a good start. That's a good parameter for who you should be dealing with and associating with, right? People who are forthright about what they do. So keeping those things in mind, I think that, in my own journey, no one starts any journey knowing everything, right? It's not like somebody was born and all of a sudden they're a doctor, right? It started with a dream to want to be something, and then you got to walk towards that path and learn the technical knowledge and experiences required to be whatever specialist you want to be. For example, a carpenter, right? No one is born a carpenter. You have to learn the trade. You have to learn the math part of it. You got to learn the hands-on part of it. And it's no different in this dog industry, right? You may, I know people who are great breeders. On the business side of things, they're not so good. I know people who are great at show. On the breeding side of it, they're not so good. And all these things are interchangeable, right? But ultimately, keep this in mind, right? It's still a business because it deals with money. And so if you're not making money and you're losing money in this business, you're not going to last long in this industry. You're going to find yourself, financially struggling, supporting your passion with your own money with no return. And then it's painful, right? If you are a casual breeder, that's fine. But if you really love this and you have 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs, whatever the number is for you that you can sustain, and you're not generating revenue and you're supporting it, now you're taking money away from everything else in your life. Maybe yourself, maybe your family, maybe your housing situation, maybe your retirement fund. I mean, wherever that money is coming from, it's taken away from something is what I'm saying. Because that money can be spent on other things. However, you're spending it here because the thing that you love here, you haven't figured out how to make money with it. So let me repeat that. Whatever you fund this with, the dog thing, if you're not making money here, you're taking money from somewhere else in order to keep this thing going. And that's really what I'm trying to drive at and hit home about with the series is for us to truly understand what we're getting into as breeders, really breaking it down and digesting what we have to wrap our mind around, because there are, there's investments, startup cost, there's return on investment, there's your profits, all these things here. Oftentimes we get so wrapped up in just the industry that we forget to do our math. And it's very important that we do so. Because if we want to last long in this industry and do our best work, it's hard to do your best work when you're struggling, right? When you're struggling, you don't have time. You don't have time because you got to work. You have to work because you got to make money. So the more time you have to put into your passion, the better your program becomes. But if your passion and your program doesn't make money, then your time is limited because you got to make money over here to support this over here. So I'm going to go a little bit slower so that you guys can really wrap your mind around it. And this is going to be a boring episode, which probably won't get a lot of views, which is okay. I'm going to restart it, and maybe you guys are on board with it and not. And if you're not, I'll stop making these videos because I'm not trying to bore you to death or hear myself talk. Just sharing information with you guys that I get asked a lot. So part of my motivation to start the series is because a lot of you guys do reach out to me and I answer your questions. I answer your text messages. We talk on the phone for hours. And I feel like this is valuable information that can really help somebody, right? So let me start with my first point with all this after saying all that is that it's nice to pursue a passion and be able to convert your passion into something that generates money and even becomes your full-time thing, because when your passion becomes your full-time thing that makes money, then it's no longer a job. Now you're happy to be in it 10, 12, 15 hours a day, whatever the case may be, because you're not at work. And that's what makes it fun, right? To be with your dogs and do dog things and breeder things, kennel things. It's pretty cool. I find it to be very rewarding for me. I'm at a phase where I'm transitioning out, putting more time into my program. However, make no mistake about it, I started just like everybody else, from the bottom as a nobody, putting my money up, putting my time in, putting my passion in when nobody was looking at me, watching me, and then, sort of say I wasn't generating revenue, right? I go from that to where I am now and where I'm going to be tomorrow and the next month and the next year. It's you got to have a goal. In today's world, you don't jump into a car and just start driving to somewhere you've never been. You got to punch your destination in the GPS. And if you've never been there, GPS will tell you how to get there shortly. So that's what education is. That's what everything we're talking about here is. In order to get somewhere you've never been, you have to understand where the destination is and understand how to find your way to get there, right? And along the way, you'll encounter traffic and accidents and stoplights and flat tires. Those are the pitfalls in life, that hold us back from getting to where we're trying to get to. But that's part of life, right? We can't control everything. And therefore, you're going to go through that. It's called life, right? So with that said, man, I'm going to inspire you to please pursue your passion. Do it. Because you know what? You might be the next guy. You might create the next dog, that I'm going to be a big fan of. But if you don't ever do it, it never happens. I never get to see the dog you're trying to create in your mind. The dog I'm trying to create in my mind, I'm almost there. I'm getting there, right? But I can't get there if I don't start producing dogs. So let that one sink in. And then I'll bore you even more. So here's the next segue, guys. Now we're going to do the stuff that you guys don't like. Let's get into the spreadsheet because I don't want to do a 30-minute video. You guys don't watch it anyway. We're going to keep this nice and breezy. Bango. Here we go. All right. So this is a modified plan I'm going to share with you. It's dumbed down a little bit and simplified because I took out a lot of the stuff that I spent money on, right? So, for example, here, let's get into this financial plan startup cost. Purchase. Okay, let's say you're just starting with one female pup. And let's say you say, you know what? I put up some money. I want to get a good foundational dog with deep pedigrees. The phenotype I like, the genotype I like, the color, the size, whatever it is that you like for your vision, right? And so we're going to put that purchase price at $8,000. You know what? Let's be nice. Let's say you got a deal on it. Let's call it $7,000, right? I consider $7,000 to be a quality dog from most yards. That you can get a quality dog for $7,000, right? And in that first year, medicals, you know what? You get it off. If you don't get it off my yard, you're going to have to pay for crops. So let's put this at $1,000, right? Medicals. Oops, sorry. Let me expand that because it's not showing. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so purchase price $7,000. Medicals for the first year $1,000. Let's say that's the crop, your boosters, your DATB boosters, your rabies shot, your lepto, all that good stuff. And let's say this pup that you had to get is out of state, so the transport costs or shipping, we'll call it $750. So whether that's you fly round trip and pay for the pup in cabin, or you pay someone to bring the dog to you, we'll just keep it nice and simple and call that fee $750. So now you have a dream. You can only do this with one dog. That dog, the startup cost is $8,750 after you've done all your research. Excuse me. After you've called all the breeders and try to get the best deal you can, right? Because when you're starting up, every dollar matters, and you should be very frugal and find the best people who are going to help you win. But that's another topic. So let's just say you found that breeder, and here you are. Now, question is, do you have facility, right? So here's just some things: framing, plumbing, electrical, insulation, drywall, paint, because you want to create your space where you're going to do your good work. And let's say year one, you don't have a budget for this because the puppy's still small. It's the only dog you have. Maybe you got a cage for $100, right? and that's about all you've done. Let's just say your minimal investment for at least a dog crate is $100. Then we go here. Right now, year one, you say, you know what? I don't need a website this year. Let's zero him out. Fridge, you don't need a fridge right now. Let's zero that out. A deep freezer, you only got one dog. You don't need that either. A food grinder, do you really need that? I'm going to say yes. So we'll leave that on there. Now, do you need a $900 food grinder? Probably not. That's what I bought. But let's just say you went to Amazon and you only have to feed one dog. So you're going to go with a more economical grinder at, I don't know, $250. Okay. Now, do you need a $3,000 camera? No, you don't. So you're going to go online and find something on the marketplace. And let's say you bought a camera for an older model for about $900. That helps us lighten the load because a camera is essential, guys. So imagine you have this amazing puppy and you want to document the growth of your puppy and tell the story of your kennel and your dog, but you don't have a camera. Well, if all you have is a cell phone, that's great. But if you want high resolution, high quality to really have nice media, you're going to have to invest in a camera. You know, you can spend upwards of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a camera, but let's just say this is your starter one. You put away some money, and so you got a camera for $900, which will serve the purpose for now. Okay, so let's get into your monthly operating expenses. Let's say, oh, I misspelled electric. Let's say you misspelled electric. So let's say this dog consumes $25 a month on electricity. You know what? I'm being generous for one dog. Let's call that $15. $15 worth of water. Gas, meaning natural gas for heat. We'll leave that at 20. Let's say this dog is eating very, very well because you want the dog to turn. And the first year of life is the biggest growth cycle of a dog. So you want to double down on food, you know, dog food and supplements, right? And we'll call that $100 a month, which to me, that's a good budget. That's a good, realistic budget to feed your dog raw, get them NuVet, new joint, or whatever supplement it is you like. Now, this dog is not going to clean itself. You're going to need cleaning supplies, you know, poo picker-uppers, mops, brooms, you know, garbage bags, wipes, dog wipes, all that stuff. So we'll put that at $25 a month, which is a fair assessment. Now you're going to have office expense and marketing, right? And some of you guys, office expense monthly, what is that? That's internet, that's keyboard, that's lighting, that's, you know, to run a business, you have to do business activities. And that requires planning, just like we're doing here. This is what an office expense is. So I'll be nice to you guys and call that $40 a month. And then you're going to have a marketing expense. And you say, well, what's that? Well, marketing expense of $50 means your platforms. Where do you want to be at? TikTok, Facebook, whatever. And because you're beginning, let's just knock that down to $25 for one dog. Okay, so the total for your monthly running expense is $240, which is a good projected budget, right? Which means now that you got this dog, you plan on spending roughly $240 on this stuff here. So in a year, you would know what that is if you multiply that by 12, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do yearly cost equals the sum of this times 12. Close that bracket for you. And then we are going to oversize that to the correct side. I believe it's 28. No, 36. Yeah, there it is. So this yearly cost here is $2,880. Everybody see that? Nice and simple math, right? Now, what I did was I combined your purchase price of $8,750 with your equipment cost of $1,150 with your facility build of $100, which is super modest, and your monthly operating cost of $240, giving you a total startup cost in the first month of buying all this stuff of $10,240. Now you got your dog crate, you got your grinder, you got your used camera. Now this running expense of $2,880 is going to tack on for your year one. This is your yearly operating cost. We're going to go year one startup cost, right? Perfect. So now we're going to take this is going to equal the sum of, I did that wrong. Hold on, guys. We're going to do the purchase price of the puppy, your equipment, your facility, and your total annual operating cost, and close that out for a grand total of $12,880 for your first year. Now, keep in mind, your dog is a year old now. You're female, right? Because you bought a female. You still can't make money. First year was this. But now your year two looks like what? Year two startup cost. Let's say, just say your year two cost is going to be this guy right here, plus medicals, right? So basically, it's your year two cost is going to be $2,880. Let's put some currency on that, right? And let's just throw in there maybe, I don't know, an extra $200 for medical cost. So let's go $3,080 for your year two, right? So now, okay, your year one, you can't breed a dog too young. Let's say you're going to do the responsible thing and wait till the dog is 2 years old. So now let's see. Now you're going into the beginning of year three with a cost of year one plus year two. Close that bracket. So at the beginning of year three, you would have shelled out $15,960 on one dog. But now this is the year where you can start getting going and making some money. So this is I don't want to make this a long-winded video. We are going to stop right there, guys. Okay? And what I'm going to do is summarize what we just talked about. You want to get started in this thing with just one dog. Here's what it costs in year one. Here's your total startup cost, right? Plus your year one expenses. $12,880. And then your year two cost is $3,080. So at the end of year two, beginning of year three, you would have shelled out $15,960 without making a dollar yet. Now, this is realistic figures. These are figures I spent. In fact, I spent a lot more because I built facility. I did one more than one dog. You guys have been following my journey. No, I bought a lot of dogs and built a lot of facility and deep freezers and everything else, and basically drew up my whole system for my camp and my kennel. We're going to cut this short here. So if you really want to understand what it is to get into this, watch this episode. This is the real expectation of what it is. Now, if you want to hack the system and say, hey, you know what? I can't wait till the end of year two, and maybe you want to breed after during the third heat, which is roughly around 18 to 20 months. You know, is that still pretty responsible? Yes, it's not so bad. Definitely, you're not breeding at the first heat. You're definitely not breeding at the second heat. The girl's too young. And some people say, hey, to me, heat 3 is good. Other breeders would say, I don't breed a dog until they're over 2. Now, 2 different schools of thought, right? So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And now it's just me and you. We're back to me and you again, guys. This is what it is. This is what you really have to look at, right? So it's not just budgeting for the dog. What does the dog cost you a month? Because if you buy an $8,000 dog and you're only going to feed it, let's say, the most cheapest kibble you can find, well, how are you going to unleash the dog's genetic potential? Right? The dog turns out two ways. Genetics, it has the genotype and the phenotype you're looking for. And then in that first 12 months is the biggest growth spurt of any dog. Between day one to year one, between year one and year two, the dog completely changes on you. And if you're feeding the cheapest kibble you can find, are you giving the dog the best chance to win? In my opinion, it's no. Because you're giving it a lot of food that's not nutrient dense, which really is not aiding the dog to unlock its genetic potential. So anyhow, guys, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to cut this here because when I drop long episodes, you guys don't watch them anyway. This is Classroom episode 1. What is, let's just start with startup costs and expenses, guys. Thank you for watching, guys. Earl at Sumo Bully Kennels, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.